something that I took a good few months to realize when I started meditating was this idea of meditation being a practice. I started meditating with the hope that it would subside my anxiety and fix my depression and provide me with this peaceful Zen-like state that I really felt like I needed. And it was only because I had committed to do it every morning that I stuck with it and got through it. But if I had known this beforehand, I think it might have made it a little easier. So I'm giving it to you now. If you were to pick up darts for the first time ever, and you get your 3 darts and you start throwing them at your target, you're probably going to miss your target 3 times. You're not really going to be that annoyed at yourself or disappointed at yourself. You're just going to go pick up the darts, go back and try again. And then you might hit it once, but you probably miss the other 2 times. You'll go back, pick it up and try it again. And as with any sport, you accept that when you're starting, there is an element of practicing that needs to happen before you start to get those satisfying shots or those satisfying moments where you feel like you're really doing it right. But actually, every time you miss, you're learning something about how to hit the target. And with meditation, I think a lot of people give up very quickly because they sit down and their very, very busy mind doesn't subside and calm down and reach this Zen-like state that they feel like they should get from meditation, and then they just say, oh, I'm shit at meditating, so I gave up. Meditation is a practice. It's the same thing as picking up anything new. There's an element to it that will be frustrating and it will be difficult and it won't feel like you're hitting the target. If you can early on come to accept that that's a fact, and actually that practicing is a really good part of developing a skill, then you can find that peace an awful lot quicker because you can be accepting and have grace for yourself. If you're only starting to meditate, think about that for a second, right? You're coming out of a very hyper-stimulated world and environment and probably an entire life of thinking and just habitual thinking all the time. If you're anything like me, any thought that came into my head, I just went with. I just ran with that. And in my teens and my early 20s, that started to catch up on me, and I started to experience a lot of anxiety and then eventually depression. And what was happening there was I didn't know how to stop thinking. I didn't know how to get out of the loops of automatic thinking because I just went with anything that I thought, and a lot of the time that was worries and fears and judgments of myself, judgments of other people, unhealthy thinking that in the moment felt really important, so I did it and I jumped on it and went down the rabbit hole. But after a while that catches up on you and it wears you down, and you know, same as physical health needs a break, mental health, your mind needs a break as well, just like your body needs rest. And we're quite well adapted to our bodies resting. You know, most of us sit on a sofa in the evening and chill out. We know how to do that for our bodies, and most of us know how to sleep. We know how to do that for our bodies, but we don't really do it very much for our minds, at least not proactively. And that's what meditation is doing. It develops a practice of coming to recognize thoughts as they come into your head and learning to let go of them, learning to realize that in this moment I don't need to think about that thing. And sometimes that's really difficult. For a lot of people that takes months and months and months of practice to actually allow themselves to let go of that thing, to put down the to-do list, to stop worrying about what's coming up later in the day, and just stop and breathe and be in the present moment as it is. And when you find that and you experience that for the first few times, it's like hitting the bullseye in that game of darts. You realize you can do it. You get that feeling of, oh, this is what that is like. And then it goes away, you know. So like when I was learning, it lasted for a second, just a blip, and then I would think again and be off again, and then a minute later I'd realize, oh shit, I'm thinking again, and then I'd be judging myself, which is just another thought, and that whole cycle would repeat, and that's okay. That's the secret to it all. It's okay that is difficult because you haven't practiced it, and even the people that have practiced it still find it really difficult. It's not easy. We're products of our environment, and our environment is fast paced. It's grabbing our attention all the time. It's buzzing in our pockets. It's flashing lights at us as we drive home. We are in a hyper stimulated world, so it's okay. It's actually quite natural that your mind works that way. So treat it as a practice. Be graceful and good to yourself. Be accepting of the way your mind works, because it's not your fault. It just is the way it is, and that's okay. Peace, 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 peace.